Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. A little breaking news edition. I guess this is kind of breaking news-ish. Depends on if the Chicago Bears get involved in it.
You just call this breaking news-ish? It doesn't depend if the Bears get involved in it. It's breaking news.
This is breaking news. This is breaking news.
Myles Garrett has requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns.
This is, a serious request, too, by the way. I thought that this was, I've never seen someone request a trade and like a notarized like message to the fans, like he's gone already. That is phenomenal work.
It's not notarized. He just autographed the bottom of his little piece of paper. And it's not even, it's a digital note that it just had his autograph imposed on the bottom of it.
I think here's
MG95.
Here's the thing. The fact that you're putting out a full I'm gone to the fans, it just hasn't happened yet. I don't think I've ever seen this in sports, minus Jimmy Butler basically just saying, I'm gone. They just haven't let me go yet. You know what I mean?
This has happened before. Roquan Smith did this with the Bears 2 years ago, and he played like 8 games.
Yeah, okay. That's a good point. I forgot about Roquan doing that.
Yeah, of course. This happens all the time.
Yeah, I forgot about Roquan doing that. That's pretty good. Hey, we got to break down. Should the Chicago Bears get involved in a trade for Myles Garrett? We'll have that conversation coming up next. But first, we got to tell you guys all about Mitch Lyons. Hey, I'm excited to let you know about our new partner of ours in Mitch Lyons Wealth. Mitch Lyons Wealth is the go-to spot for protecting your nest egg. Mitch Lyons is a former NFL player, and he's an expert in optimizing your income. Go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. That's Mitch, Lyons Wealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Myles Garrett, nowhere near retirement. I'm excited that a name like this is on the market, Shea. You came in here hot. You were like, we got our topic. I had something completely other than this planned. But now the big question is, should the Chicago Bears involve themselves in the Myles Garrett market?
Well, you want to know what it's going to cost you?
A lot.
It's going to cost you 10. It's going to cost you next year's first. It's going to cost you a third and a sixth. And that may still not be enough, but that's what it costs to get Khalil Mack. So that's the baseline. It's going to be 2 first-round picks at a minimum. And up to you. If you feel like you can stomach that, if you're the Bears, you can give up 10 and a chase for a rookie player plus next year's first-round pick to get Khalil Mack right now. Look, man, I'll tell you this. I'd do it. Everything that I've read over the weekend about the Bears' plans for the 10th pick, I have put the prayer circle out. I hope Mason Graham falls to 10 and the Bears can select him. But that's hope, and hope ain't a strategy. So if you look at 10 and you're feeling like the likeliest thing, which I've read this weekend, is we'll get there and we'll trade down. We like more players deeper in the first round of the draft than what is likely to be available at 10. Okay, well, Myles Garrett just became available.
Yeah.
Trade 10. Trade 10 to Cleveland. Trade next year's first to Cleveland. They seem to like Tyler Booker at guard. He's a second-round pick. There you go. Fill the rest out in free agency. Drew Dalman's available. Trey Smith likely to be available. Yeah. I don't see the issue. Like, you're not getting a better player than Myles Garrett with the 10th pick in the draft, in all likelihood. So I would make the deal. You got the cap space to absorb him. Whether or not they will is a different question. Can they outbid the Lions, who are certain to be involved in this?
Yeah. I think that's such a great point too, because I think you have to have this forward thinking of like, okay, there's a team out here who has a great pass rusher like the Lions already, and they're in your division. You may have to deal with them. Can you afford to give them Myles Garrett? Like there's going to be this bidding war that comes up. What I like about this is he comes in, basically he's Keenan Allen money. So for Keenan Allen, I get Myles Garrett. I kind of look at that trade as well. 31 years old. You're going to have to re-sign him basically immediately after you make the trade. What kind of money are you trying to re-sign him for? That's going to be a major concern moving forward as well. But I think the one thing that I can agree with you on is it does seem like, when you look at a Will Campbell, when you look at a Kelvin Banks, those are the names that are at the top of the draft and the names that I would be in on. If you're not sold on those names, Myles Garrett is absolutely one that I think makes a huge impact on your team. And probably, if we're being real, puts Montez Sweat in the spot where he's supposed to be, the number 2 on your team. Still a great pass rusher.
It ain't no probably.
But the guy opposite.
That ain't, if you get Myles Garrett, that ain't no probably.
Well, if you get him, he's automatically going to be that. But I think that's a role where Montez can thrive a little bit more, right? When people focused on him more this season, he didn't have the same level of production, dealt with some injury, but clearly didn't have the same level of production. I think this is something that gets Montez Sweat back, turning into who he is. You add Myles Garrett in there, you know he's going to be at least 10 to 15 sacks a season. Like, those are the things that are the pros in this situation. Now, the cons, like you said, though, can you afford to give up that much draft capital? Because it's not just this year's draft. You're talking about this year's draft, next year's draft, and maybe even something from 2027 draft if it calls for it.
There's a level of risk that comes along with this. And look, we're reacting instantly.
Yeah.
This is going to live on YouTube forever. So there are things I may say that in an instant reaction basis, I may then look at new information and alter the opinion. Like, I'm just building that allowance for myself here because this news broke literally 12 minutes ago and we are reacting to it in the moment. You mentioned contract extension. I do, like, Myles Garrett in the statement said he wants to win championships.
Yeah.
And he didn't mention anything about a contract. It doesn't necessarily feel like a contract play the way it may have with Roquan Smith in the past or with others. But I will just contextualize this by making it clear, despite being under contract in Cleveland until 2030, void years start in 2027. Yes. That means he's got 2 years left of guaranteed money. That's it. There is a contract angle to this. Without a doubt, there's a contract angle to this. So I'm already going to place the odds that he even leaves at around 30%. I don't think it's super likely that Myles Garrett sees his way out of Cleveland. If he does, you then have to outbid whoever's bidding for him.
Yeah.
Likely the Patriots will be involved.
Yep.
Likely the Lions will be involved. Likely Washington will be involved. There could be others, including the Bears, that could get involved in this. Then there's the risk aspect. He's going to be 30 years old this season. Do you really want to give up the 10th pick and what could be a premium defensive player or a premium offensive lineman for Myles Garrett? And look, I'm not saying this is going to happen right now. You could play this out and wait till draft night and be sitting there with the 10th pick and go, we didn't get Will Campbell. We didn't get such and such. We didn't get such and such. There's a player Cleveland happens to really like. I don't know. Are they into Ashton Genty? And you flip them 10 plus next year's first and other stuff to get Myles Garrett because you feel like that's the path forward. Would I complain? No, of course not. It's a big ballsy move.
Yeah.
You're getting one of the best defensive players in the league. But this is one of those things where if the Bears do it, everybody needs to be comfortable that the timeline is rapidly accelerating.
It's right now.
This isn't a win later move.
Yeah.
It's a win today move.
Yeah. It's a going out and getting the big name pieces, by the way. And you know, you're talking about adding Myles Garrett to somebody who we have talked about who's created these top defenses in Dennis Allen. You're talking about adding him to a legitimate legitimate coaching staff that we built up. You're already kind of in that win now mode. When you're paying coaches this much, it's not like you're waiting years to come. I think here's the question that you have to ask, though. Would you have felt better about the Khalil Mack trade if you knew the quarterback was Caleb Williams? Would you have felt better about, because that was the tough part where you trade for Khalil Mack and you're going in and you're going, okay, but we got Mitch, and maybe Mitch is the guy, maybe he's not, but we at least got Khalil Mack. We know that we can build a defense that can win now and take pressure off of him. If I'm coming into this with Caleb Williams, even with the ups and downs of this season, I continue to say this was a good rookie season for Caleb Williams. I don't expect him to stay at this level. I think this continues to build. If I know I have the quarterback that seems like he's going to be my franchise guy, if I know I've put together this entire staff to invest in this young piece, I think it makes it a little bit more palatable, especially with the fact that if you get Myles Garrett, I don't think it takes away from the fact that you still got to spend money on the other side. You need a Dahlman or a Ryan Kelly. You need a Drew Smith. You or Trey Smith. I'm sorry. You need these pieces that you can get in free agency to help your young quarterback, and you still have money to actually spend on the other side. You've got a lot of other people locked up, and I know this is going to stick wrong with people, Shea, but there's probably a world where Tyreek Stevenson is not here in the future. There's probably a world where Jaquan Brisker is not here, where Kyler Gordon is not here. Okay. You want to know why? Because if the trenches are right, I can replace those guys.
But here's what I would say to that. And I'm going to lay out two scenarios. And if you want to let us know in the comments your preference, I don't even know what my opinion is on this. I'm just going to lay it out for you. You can trade for Myles Garrett. You're going to give up your 10th pick this year, your first round pick next year, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
You're going to pay him a boatload of money. Absolutely. I mean, he's a $28-30 million a year player. You're going to want to make him happy. You're going to want to keep him here for 4 to 5 seasons. So that's all going to happen if you make that move. Your other option is get Dennis Allen, a guy he likes and is comfortable with. You pay $10 million to Chase Young. Get him for 2 years, $10 million a year, 5.5 sack player. There's some risk with the medicals, but it's less financial risk.
Because there's some risk with the motor.
Then you keep the 10th pick. You keep your first round pick next year. You can build elsewhere with rookie level contracts and still do the free agency thing to improve your line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the ball. Less risk, and it doesn't pressure your timeline as much.
Yeah.
Because you're right. At some point, you're going to have to move on from Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, Tyreek Stevenson, and others. Some of you can't pay all the rookie guys.
Jalen Johnson's probably not getting another deal here.
But if you get Myles Garrett, all you do is bring that date much closer to where you have to make those decisions on those players. That's why it's a risk and it's a big swing. And if you do it and you win a Super Bowl, nobody will care that you took the chance. But if you do it and you don't, and then you have to make future decisions earlier than you would have wanted to because you took this big swing, people will always look at it the way they look at the Khalil Mack trade. Great in the moment, exciting in the moment, felt like a win now thing, and your reward was the double doink.
Yep.
And it screwed everything up for Ryan Pace with not having first round picks, with trading his way out of the top of drafts. And then he wasn't able to supplement talent with rookie level players. Look, man, I think it's an interesting thing because Poles' seat feels hot to me. And this is a move where if you feel like you might get fired, you do take the bigger swing and try to get things going quicker. But this would be ballsy. It's balls of steel. And I'm not saying I don't want to do it. My instant reaction was I would do it.
Yeah.
You got to be aware of the cost.
And it's going to be major cost. And I think you bring up a great point too, right? The Ryan Poles situation. I don't know what the contract situation with Poles is. I would assume that there's some kind of conversation either had here. And Shea, I've said this a couple of times. I don't know which reporting is true. Adam Johns reported this year that he basically was on a 4-year deal, which would mean that we're entering the last year of Ryan Poles' deal right now. But the whole reason that he signed here was, as it was originally reported, was because the Bears gave him an extra year to get stuff done. The Bears gave him an extra year. So he was on a 5-year deal, essentially. So whether he's here 4 years or 5 years, that could make a difference in this as well. If I'm not on my last year here, I may say, no, we brought this staff in because they're going to be better at developing pieces than the previous staff. We paid money for Dennis Allen because he's going to be able to get the most out of the guys we draft in the 2nd round, the 3rd round, the 4th round, versus Matt Eberflus, who kind of really only got something out of Gervon Dexter and developed the heck out of a DB class that you had here. I think that does play a major part in it. And if Ryan Poles is on the last year of his deal, this could be a big swing move that you see him make. If he's time,
not. Well,
I don't think he is either.
But he's also it doesn't sound like there's been an extension. I don't buy that he's on the last year of his deal, but that does mean next year is the last year of his deal.
Yes.
So effectively in sports, if people aren't aware of how this works, really in any business, if you are a year away from the final year of your contract, you're in the final year of your contract. Yeah. Nobody lets you make decisions as a lame duck. It doesn't happen unless you're Jera Jones.
Well, the Bears
who's just happy to
well,
do
the
it.
Bears
Yeah, but listen, that was at a time when I didn't believe that they were playing at a serious level. And I believe that now with what they've done in the hiring and paying for Ben Johnson and getting Dennis Allen and getting Eric Bieniemy out of nowhere.
That was crazy over the weekend. Was that Saturday?
Saturday night. Yeah. I'm more willing to believe that they're behaving appropriately. And if teams are behaving professionally and appropriately, they aren't letting lame duck GMs make decisions.
Yeah.
Not at a personnel level. So I just have a hard time believing that Poles is going to potentially have a difficult year this year. And there's a world where that happens. Like, I don't want it to. I'm not going to sit here and say they're making the playoffs. You will not get that out of me this offseason. At no point. I won't buy into a draft. I won't buy into a free agency. I expect it, but you will not get me to say they're going to do something, because this could very easily be another rebuild year.
Yeah.
And if it is, I don't think Ryan Poles is around at the end of it. So the point I'm making is he more motivated to make a deal like this because there's fear he won't be here and he has to save the gig? Maybe.
Yeah.
And if he is, then you're going to end up with Myles Garrett potentially. But I don't know. How valuable is, like, I think the Lions should be the betting favorite to get him. They need a pass rusher opposite Aiden Hutchinson. It's their biggest weakness by far.
They can't outbid the Bears draft-wise.
On the entire team. Why not?
Because the Bears have higher picks.
Okay, but
like, unless you're just like, we're going to forfeit our next 10 drafts, like the Bears are going to have higher picks, and for sure this season, probably next season, than the Lions as well. I don't expect this massive drop off that I think a lot of people are expecting from the Lions because they've lost their entire staff.
I don't think you can outbid from a draft capital standpoint, given the fact the Bears have more picks towards the top.
Right.
What is it, 4 in the top 70 this year? Not that you're parting with all of those, but I would imagine 2 of your top 70, including 10,
you're probably
would have to go out the door.
Probably that Carolina pick as well.
The Bears can outbid the Lions. Do they want to?
That's a great question.
The cost benefit is different because, yes, you can offer the 10th pick, but the 10th pick is more valuable both to the Browns and the Bears than the 28th pick is to the Lions. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the Lions can more easily part with later picks in the first round and still have first round values attached to them than the Bears can part with what's the 10th pick and what could be 20 next year.
The one thing where I think you would get in on that is if the Lions are the front runner, and I think that like you said, they would be because they're more built. You got Bovada odds right now? Oh, okay. Plus 650.
Wow,
Bills
I'm actually
number one.
I'm very surprised by that.
Bills number one plus 650. Eagles plus 650. So tied at number one. Plus 800 to the Chargers. Plus 800 to the Ravens. Plus 1150 to the Cardinals. All right, Bovada.
Okay, so something interesting there, just with the Bills as the favorites. I imagine that's an idea that they'll move on from Von Miller. They've got a really messed up cap sheet.
Yeah, that's where the Bills threw me there.
Now, so they're not going to play in free agency. Brandon Beane effectively said as much. So could they get involved and trade late round picks to Cleveland to do this? Maybe. And here's the other thing too, because I always laugh when people are like, oh, well, this team's got first round picks that are going to be at the end of the first round. So why would anybody ever make the trade? Well, and also hold on a minute. Because everybody laughed. Oh, the Lions traded Matthew Stafford for pick 30 and 31 and 32 the next 3 years. What a dumb thing.
Yeah.
What happened there? The Rams had a year where they won 4 games is what happened.
Yeah.
Like, you can't predict out. So if you're Cleveland and you give Detroit or you give Buffalo or you give whoever Myles Garrett, and right now you look at it and go, well, those picks are going to be terrible relative to the Bears. There's a equal, if not better, chance that team good right now with a bad cap sheet that is forced into playing the Myles Garrett game has a bad year going forward than super young team with a really talented quarterback and new head coach. Like, I could argue the Lions will be picking higher in the draft in 2026 or 2027 than the Bears will.
Yeah.
Their cap sheet is horrific. Starting in 2026. They have like $4 million in effective cap space. The Bills are over the cap right now.
Yeah.
And they have an incredible quarterback, and I think it's more likely they remain contenders. But nobody just rips 13 wins every year. It doesn't happen. There's always a year where the wheels come off, and then you come back.
Yeah.
So I'd be very careful playing that game too. Everybody thought the Rams would be picking in the 30s for 3 years when they got Stafford. They were one of the worst teams in football, one of them, and it handed the Lions Penei Sewell.
Well, and listen, I mean, we've seen the belief around what the Lions coordinators were. I think there could be a conversation where the Browns look at it and say, we could trade with the Bears. We could get 10 this year. But what's next year going to be? We had a high belief in Ben Johnson. With him not there, the Lions picks may be better in the future, and they're probably more willing to give us more of them because they feel they're in a win now situation. Like the Bears trading for Myles Garrett puts them in a win now situation where you have to make Trey Smith work. You have to make Drew Dahlman if you go get him work. Or if you draft a Gray Zabel from the Senior Bowl, he has to work. You can't miss if you go get Myles Garrett.
We've been grinding North Dakota players.
Oh my God, you don't know. I've already started. I'm in draft mode, baby.
You went on Gray Zabel.
I like a Gray Zabel, dog. A little 3-position action. You see him down at Senior Bowl.
I read those reports too. It always is just, it's funny to me when people start not taking a shot at you, but when the non-college football watchers, not like, it's not a brag.
Yeah,
I'm a fucking freak.
You're watching. Yeah.
I'm a freak.
Yeah.
I understand it's a niche sport and I'm a lunatic because I watch it all the time. But I do always laugh when it's like, guy I talk NFL football with is like, this Gray Zabel kid. I'm like, you have not watched one snap.
Hey,
not one snap.
This is the thing. You know I've watched them because I was watching Prime, baby. I was watching Prime. It was some ugly moments in that mug too. Hey, look,
yeah,
that was.
I'll tell you what. That was back when Colorado looked like 2024 Colorado or 2023 Colorado. I tell you, if you like Colorado's D-line got manhandled, not that they're good by Gray Zabel.
Yeah. I will say it wasn't that Warren Sapp didn't make a big difference there.
No,
but no. I think. Here, my point in all of it is like whatever move you make, you can't miss if you go Myles Garrett. It's exactly why trading for Khalil Mack set the Bears back, and it's one of the best moves that Ryan Poles has made getting off of that money because you missed so incredibly bad with the quarterback. If you had Khalil Mack opposite Deshaun Watson that year, you could have been a Super Bowl contender. Legitimately. Because you would have put Deshaun Watson in position at the 40, and he probably finishes most of those drives with touchdowns versus Mitch, who finished a ton of those drives with field goals. If you have Patrick Mahomes that one season, you probably finish.
He wouldn't have played probably unless they.
That would have been the second year.
But
he would have played because we'd have had the neck.
Would have been the first year. Oh no, you're right.
We got Khalil the second year, so he would have been playing. We had the neck.
My bad, everybody.
Yeah, oh boy, I just saw that.
Trying to remember things that happened before COVID is like trying to. It's like ancient history to me,
bro. I just saw the when Gruden was with Vegas, or Oakland. It was still Oakland, I think.
Yeah,
and he's like, and they had Caliendo come in, and frick, what is the neck? Mike. No. Quarterback with the long neck.
Mike Glennon?
Mike Glennon. They had Mike Glennon on the team still. And he walks in, he's like, yeah, we needed a quarterback with a lot of neck. Glennon's got us covered.
Yeah, man.
Like, what a great. Like,
was that when they were on Hard Knocks and Tyreek Hill was losing his mind?
Was that Tyreek Hill?
That was their Hard Knocks year, wasn't it?
Was that year?
2019? Am I wrong on this?
You might be right. Is that because that's the same year? Is that the same year where in season it was Cleveland?
Or was this not Tyreek Hill? I'm sorry, Antonio Brown. I'm sorry.
Yes, that is.
I'm sorry.
I was
my
like,
bad.
Tyreek Hill.
I mixed up head case receivers again.
Oh no!
That's on me.
We're throwing Tyreek under the bus.
That's on me, dude. I almost made a joke that would have gotten me in a lot of trouble. I am glad I did not make that joke. People, if you know what Tyreek Hill is unsavory famous for, you can figure out the joke I wanted to make. And I'm glad I didn't make it.
That's good for the job. Now let's get back to Bears football talk. By the way, no, but I think that The reason that doesn't work is Mitch Trubisky in the long run, right? Like you didn't have the quarterback. The defense slowly broke down like every single defense does. Myles Garrett's going to be Myles Garrett for next 4 years, next 3 years.
I can't project that. He's 30.
But what I'm saying is, right, like if he stays a great player, usually about 33, 34, that's where it starts to slow down a little bit more, where you start to look at contracts and go, okay, now we're paying a little bit much here. Now he's not the same level of a guy. Defenses usually last about 3 to 4 years when they're elite. That's your window. Caleb has to develop. You have to get the offensive line right. You have to get the offensive system right. And you hope you did that by hiring Ben Johnson. I just feel like there's a lot that you have to absolutely hit on no matter what, versus having a little bit of room to be like, we can take a chance on this guy.
All right. How many double-digit sack seasons does Khalil Mack have
Since Bears?
After his age 27 season?
When did we get him?
That was his age 27
season. 27 season. So I think his first year he had one. So 27. I think he had double digits. I don't think he got another double-digit season after that with the Bears. Am I wrong on that?
No.
He did. He did.
No, he didn't.
He did.
He did not have another. You're not wrong.
He's had 2 in Los Angeles because he had 16 2 years ago.
No, he has had 1 in Los Angeles.
He's had 1. So it was the 16. And by the way, he got 8 of them, 7 of them in the Raiders game.
In the 6 seasons since turning 28, he has 1 double-digit sack season.
Yeah.
17 sack season, and I think it was 6 sacks in the Raider game.
It was ridiculous. He sacked like every quarterback 2 or 3 times.
This is perfect. It speaks to my point, and it's again just the risk factor that exists if you want to make this move. Yes, Myles Garrett had 14 sacks this year.
Yes.
More likely than not, that is the outlier the rest of his career. And mega sack number seasons are typically built on outlier games. 17 sack season for Mack because he had 6 sacks against the Raiders.
Still
whatever number it was.
Season without that game.
Absolutely. I'm not taking anything away from him, but it's like Aiden Hutchinson had, I think, 7.5 sacks when he got hurt this season. He had 5 in a single game.
Yes.
Mega sack number seasons are built on fluke games, and they become fluke seasons. If you're an elite defensive end, you're looking at 10 and a half, 11 sacks a year.
Yeah.
Elite. The idea that you trade for Myles Garrett and you just keep ripping off 14 and a half sack seasons, they don't happen. So I want people to, like, if you're like me and you're like, I do it, but it's more of a factor of what might be available at 10, then that's all good. But I need you to understand the cost of this and the risk that you will be taking on. The likelihood that you get the Myles Garrett that has been and not the Myles Garrett that will be is extremely small.
Now, the only thing I would push back on is Myles Garrett has been a historic level player.
Absolutely.
On defenses
100%.
that are literally that good because of him. Like, I think that you do have to take that into account as well, right? Like, you look at some of those players where it just doesn't make sense that they're still playing at the level. I think about Aaron Donald. Right, comes back the final year, didn't want to be there, comes back the final year, thought about retiring, and he's like, this is my last season. By the way, I'm still going to be freaking amazing and still be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, interior pass rusher of all time. Like, there are those players that are the outliers. I think Myles Garrett falls into that category.
Yeah.
And that's where I think this conversation gets kind of tough, Shea. It's like, are you going to find a historic pass rusher or a historic offensive lineman at 10?
Yeah. Well, and Myles Garrett has exclusively had double-digit sack seasons. His only non-double-digit sack season, rookie year.
7 sacks.
So there is a risk to it, but you are getting a unicorn-level talent. It's just the fact that he's escaped his prime.
Yeah.
You're not acquiring him in his prime, which is the part that scares me. But the 10th pick, it might not be a bastion of generational talents. It might just be mediocre players. Not mediocre. I shouldn't say that. That's
I
not
don't
right.
think they're mediocre.
Mediocre relative to last year's first-round talent.
Yeah.
More, they're still good talent. Like mediocre was a strong word. I shouldn't have done that. But you get the point. It's like non-position of need. Like if it's Ashton Genty at 10, yeah, I'm flipping the pick.
Yeah.
But if there's a chance Mason Graham falls to me, or there's a chance Will Campbell falls to me,
Yeah.
I might be more interested in continuing to build through the draft rookie level contract guys of that caliber than upheaving my salary cap to get Myles Garrett.
Is this something you think makes it to the draft? Myles Garrett becomes available. I think teams start planning on moving heaven and earth.
I'll tell you this.
Bring him in. I don't know if that's a draft day trade you get an opportunity to make.
But can teams make trades before the start of the new league year when in mid-March? I don't believe they even can.
You can't. That is true.
So we have to wait until at least free agency. Yeah. And then you have to go through the process of free agency to get to the I don't think this happens pre-draft. I really don't. If it does, it won't be till like first week of April, I would think.
Yeah.
I don't see this being like some speed race to get done. Cleveland's going to want to see what their best offers are. Teams are going to want to see what's available for themselves. I really like if
I'm Cleveland and I know Myles wants out, I'm calling the top 10 teams in the draft first. Like I'm not letting you call me. I'm going, I got him available. What do you want?
For sure. Yeah, you're doing what the Mavs did with Luka.
Except you're trading away a much better conditioned player than Luka Doncic is. Much better conditioned player than Luka is.
Listen, say what you want to say about Luka. That's a ridiculous trade. It's the most stunning trade I've ever seen in my life.
It's a shocking trade. I don't know if it's not to me. Because you got AD, but we're gonna lose half the fan base here. But I gotta say, because you got AD back, I do think it still puts you in a position to win. Because AD, Kyrie, big man, point guard, always has won championships. And let me make the point: big man, point guard, always has won championships. I think it puts you in a position still to be in contention for it.
Are you out of your mind?
I wouldn't have traded Luka. I'm saying I wouldn't have traded Luka, but.
Are you about to Chris Canty me and tell me that the Mavs won the deal?
No, not at all. I said I would have Pat Riley'd him because I do think he's out of shape, and I think his injuries are because of it. I would have Pat Riley'd him. I'd have said
he's their best player.
That's great,
and they traded him for an older and worse player.
I agree with that. I'm not saying that the Mavs won the deal. What I'm saying is his injuries seem to be because he doesn't give an F about his conditioning.
Yes, he traded for a guy who's earned the nickname Street Clothes.
I was going to say half man, half a season, but yeah.
I can't.
It's bad. I was going to try and make it. It's bad.
You're trying to make excuses for Dallas. I was about to get up and walk out of here.
I think if healthy, very big caveat, if healthy, you get 2 chances at this to go win a ring. You win a ring, nobody cares.
They're not winning a ring. Oh, Kyrie and Anthony Davis.
Kyrie Irving is a monster.
Two proven winners.
Kyrie is a winner. Yeah.
When?
He's won a championship with LeBron James, yeah.
That's right. What about Anthony Davis?
Won a championship with LeBron James.
That's right. But what have they done when they haven't had LeBron?
Hold on. LeBron does not have that ring without Kyrie Irving.
No disagreement.
LeBron does not have that ring without Kyrie Irving.
No disagreement.
Kyrie Irving's finals.
No
MVP
disagreement. But Pat, what have they done? Both guys, what have they done without LeBron? AD blew up the Pelicans, and Kyrie blew up both the Celtics and Nets,
and went to a finals, and went to an NBA finals. He was there last year.
He got his ass dragged there.
And
then he had his eyes fucked out by Boston.
Let's not say dragged. He didn't get dragged there.
Did he or did he not get?
Kyrie Irving is a major part of that finals run.
They got their eyes effed out by the Celtics.
Oh no. That's crazy. In the finals for sure. It's over. Anyway, I say I have to say. Well,
he was terrible. I'm done.
The NBA podcast coming soon.
Here's the deal. If you want to trade for Myles Garrett, let me know. If you don't, let me know. I got to get out of here. I don't know what's happening to us.
Hey, listen. Myles Garrett better condition than Luka Doncic was my
Listen,
point. What's my point?
You might be better conditioned than Luka.
You want to know what the tough part is? And then we got to get out of it. The tough part is when you just hear them talking about a weight that you know you've been, and it's just all of a sudden people are just like, you know what? This Luka Doncic guy fat as heck. This guy sucks. He's so big. Why is he huge? He's a monster. And I'm like, Luka looks like he's in some pretty good shape for 6'8". He carries 270 well. If that's the weight, what was I looking like? I was a porpoise out here.
It's funny to me because, like, look, it shouldn't be any secret to anybody by this point. I don't play the big professional buttoned-up broadcaster game. I'm going to tell you how it is in my view.
Yeah.
I called Luka a fat slob on social media during the finals. And
he was gassed.
People got mad at me. And now I get on social media after he's been traded, and everybody's like, this fat idiot. I'm like, what's going on?
That's how it goes, dog. That's the game that we're in.
Never wrong, just early.
I'll give you credit. I'll give you credit on that. Hey, man, for Shea Norling, it's your boy Pat the Designer. Let us know how you guys feel. We lost so many people in that final 2 minutes of the pod. Let us know how you guys feel in the comments below. Would you make the trade for Myles Garrett? As always, man, y'all stay safe out there in Chicago. Bear down. One love. Mavs championship. Peace.